America's favorite video series, don't fact check this, is now a podcast. In Collaborative Corner, Dr. Mark Blumenstein breaks down important issues in collaborative eye care. Listen to each new episode starting in January as he reviews the optometrist's role in managing a patient's eye care journey. Tune in through your preferred podcast player.
As much as we've learned about ocular surface disease, there is still so much yet to be discovered. The good news is, this creates a world of opportunity for eye care providers.
The goal of this podcast is to better understand this chronic and complex condition and keep you up to date on the advances being made in its diagnosis and treatment. So let's get to the point. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final 2025 To The Point podcast for the year. I'm Jackie Garlich. I'm with the lovely Jessilin Quint. Hi, Jessilin.
Hello, Jackie. Hello to all our listeners. What a year this has been, right?
I
2025 coming to a close. Whew.
Here we are. And we're I think the best thing to do for this podcast is to do a nice little recap. What did we learn in 2025? What was good? What's coming in 2026? We're excited about tech we want to talk about. Let's do a nice little recap for everybody, right?
I like it. Let's kick it off.
I know.
I have to tell you I had a patient today actually, and I just felt like it was so fitting for end of the year. We'll start thinking about 2026. So she came in and she was like, we were asking about what her goals were with dry eye, and she was like, I want the Pantone 2026. I want that to be the color of my eyes. And I was like thinking like, okay, I guess I'm not up to speed. Is this magenta, green? Like, what is the Pantone color? So do you know what the Pantone color for 2026 is?
No.
It is Cloud Dancer, aka white. Anyway, I just thought that was the most interesting way to describe goals. And I was like, what better way to just start thinking ahead for 2026 and think about where we've come from for 2025. So
yes. Oh my gosh. Was this like an artist? What a lovely way to say that. Oh my gosh.
She is quite lovely. Yes.
We do. We love white eyes for sure. Yes. I'm here for it. In 2025, what we saw like two pretty decent launches and approvals. One of them was OptiLift that was launched in February of this year, and the other is Tripteer that was approved at the end of May this year. So we had two, I think, pretty sizable launches in the dry eye space. OptiLift is that dynamic muscle stimulation, which is really trying to help lid laxity. Jessilin, your thoughts on this? Have you experimented with OptiLift at all?
I haven't brought it in yet, but I love the science behind it. So many of our colleagues have implemented this and are getting great results. And I look at my patients now, I look at their lids a lot differently now that, it's one thing when you diagnose things, but then when you have a treatment for it to actually address it, then you start, going back through with almost like a fine-tooth comb, right, to kind of uncover those things. So this might be something I bring in for 2026. I haven't quite pulled the trigger on it, but it really does, definitely highlight that lid impact, right, on the ocular surface. But Tripteer has also really, I feel like for a lot of my patients, really changed the game. And when I look at both of these products, these treatments, they're not just necessarily like me too treatments, right? Like they really do, they address different niches within our ocular surface disease within that market. And so I just love innovation.
Yeah, I do too. I had the opportunity to I had OptiLift done on me by a colleague just to sort of, I was like, what is this exactly? And I was lifted, Jessilin. I did feel, I did feel lifted. And it really, it isn't a painful treatment at all. It was, quite comfortable, warm. It was, nothing compared to the IPLs that I do on patients. So, so that was certainly interesting. Tripteer, I agree with you. That has, I think that maybe the company or others were really kind of concerned about that side effect profile of this burning and stinging. At 50% of patients were experiencing that. And maybe we were also kind of concerned how patients would react, but I don't know how your patients have felt, but mine are totally fine with that. I mean, there's a rare patient who's like, oh, I can't deal with that, but I honestly feel like I have more discontinuation from an immunomodulator due to burning and stinging than I do with Triptyr. So I don't know if you've felt that with your patients, or if your patients have said the same thing, but the burn, I think, is different than your typical burn from an immunomodulator. It's more of this sort of cooling, which for whatever reason, seems more tolerable to patients. Have you found that too, that it's really not that big of a hurdle?
I would agree. And I've kind of questioned, is it because the burn does feel different? Or is it more of just I'm doing a better job of setting that patient expectation, you know?
Maybe.
And that's true for anything of just like you might experience this, it's no big deal. And I think that that is really important. But you're right. That side effect that I think we were all really nervous about hasn't been this big grandiose thing for a lot of my patients. It is not. I haven't had anybody stop the drop because of that sensation.
Yeah, I can think of maybe one person and actually, I think it was more that there wasn't really a noticeable efficacy for that particular patient, is why it was actually ultimately stopped. But I think you're right, Jesselyn. It probably is that we're, coaching and educating our patient more about that, probably because we were all nervous, like, oh, God, our patient's gonna you don't want them to find that out on their own, so like let's make sure we educate them. So maybe that is the reason, but it is pretty, not as big of an issue as what I thought that might be. And I do feel like, patients have loved that drop, and as you said earlier, this is targeting a different thing. It's nice to have these different categories to really, oh, well, we're having this issue, let's grab this. We're having that issue, let's grab that. So it is nice to have these different niche products.
Absolutely. And not only did we have 2 new innovations, but we did have the launch of another serum tiers, so which, has a different profile. We heard from one of our guests on, the last episode about that. But a lot of our newer innovations over the last 3 to 5 years, because they've been out longer, I feel like access to them has been a little bit easier, and I think that's a big call out. And when I talk with colleagues and we talk about things like Mibo or even Xiidra or, Tiragolumab, whatever it may be. In the past or Xdemvy, when they had prescribed it maybe straight out the gate, sometimes with any new medication on the market, it takes a little bit more time, whether it's prior authorizations or it's not on panels yet. But now for a lot of those medications I just named, like it's so much easier. It's so much more affordable to be able to have, those options for patients. And so while those aren't necessarily new innovations that we saw launched this year, I do think that access to them has significantly improved. So, biggest wins for the dry eye space 2025. Jackie, you just kind of touched on it. I feel like for me, if I was looking back at that, it's that we're starting to really kind of hone in on with dry eye that it's not just one treatment usually, right? There's really adjunct. It's this combination therapy a lot of times is the best approach. And that was something I think that we were maybe a little bit skeptical on maybe 10 years ago. And obviously because we didn't have as many treatment options. But now we're starting to see that mindset shift a little bit, which I think is very advantageous for patient care. I think that would be a great topic for us to tackle in 2026. Like kind of, looking at what that diagnostically look like, and then maybe we can walk through kind of what we do as that protocol. Like what does that kind of chain of command look like to our decision making? So we should tackle that in 2026.
Yeah, Jesselyn, that is a great idea for a lecture for 2026 for us, or actually a podcast for us for 2026. And speaking of 2026, what are you looking forward to in 2026? What's on the horizon? What are you hoping for in 2026, Jesselyn?
I guess I think I want to help more patients, I guess, is kind of the short answer. Because sometimes I think and especially just even talking to our colleagues, and I want all of us to treat more dry eye patients because we look at these numbers and the need is out there, right? We're on screen times more. there's just people are in contact lenses, right? Like it's just dry eye is so prevalent. And I think before with dry eye, people maybe thought that you could only have dry eye treatments if you were like cash pay, right? Or maybe that some eye care providers were hesitant to really get into that space because they couldn't afford an IPL or whatever it may be. Or even patients thought that my only option are these in-office treatments. So I guess what I'm really excited for 2026 is to be able to sit with a patient and just look at everything that's happening on the ocular surface and really develop a personalized curated plan and say like these are our options, right? No matter where you're at with your pocketbook, what your commitment level is, we've got something that we can start to have some improvement, and some things might get us there faster. Sometimes, some of these other options might get us there a little bit slower, but we've got options for you. So regardless of where my dry eye patient is, your dry eye patient is, I think I'm so excited that we just have options to be able to even better over the counter options, right? And so, so many developments within that. I also really want to just do a better job of raising more awareness. I think back to that state of dry eye kind of survey thing that came out this year. I know there was one in 2024, and really big highlights from that were just like there's such a delay in care for treatment. A lot of times patients will wait like 6 months before they even land in our chair. And so when a patient is in my chair and they are having symptoms, I want to make sure that we're not missing that opportunity, that we're being very proactive within that. And so I think that that's like one thing that I'm super excited about is just to be able to help more patients, educate more, spread more awareness. What about you?
Yeah, these are great goals. Yeah, I feel the same, and I think you bring up a good point. I think a lot of the dry eye specialties, sometimes there's a lot of focus on the in-office cash pay treatments, and that is a really good message to send. Like, it doesn't need to be that. I mean, you certainly can do a good job treating patients without some of those in-office treatments, and just have an office that you can send to if you need something further. But I think it is really starting with recognizing it, offering solutions. You now have so many tools at your disposal. And I think you're totally right about that. Raising awareness, and whether that you mean even among patients or among our colleagues, both will move the needle forward. So yeah, I think that's a great, I love that plan for you. One thing I'm thinking of or excited to hear more about, which really isn't, necessarily maybe 2026, but there's a company, Azura, that has their keratolytic ointment that they are hopefully going to be submitting a new drug application in the second half of 2026. And this is the selenium sulfide ointment that's a twice a week application. So this might be very refreshing for our dry eye patients because all we ask them to do constantly is like use a drop, use drops, use this. So a twice a week application that's really trying to target the root cause of that obstruction, or a major cause of that, which is that abnormal, build up keratinization at that lid margin and blocking those meibomian gland orifices. So, they had some phase 2 data that looked really promising. It's showing that it's showing more, liquid, more opening those glands more, having more meibum express, and offering some symptom relief for patients. So that is in the works now. They, released some new news recently about all of this, but probably in reality, I mean, an NDA takes like 9-ish plus months to really kind of go through. So maybe we really won't see that till 2027. So that might not exactly happen. But I mean, happy to see if they can push forward and their phase 3 data looks good and they can submit, based on that. Because I think, you know, aren't we always just trying to get these meibomian glands to work? I mean, is that not what we're doing constantly? So, like, if we have a way to help remove that obstruction and that buildup on that lid margin, that could be really helpful. And really, yet another category. I mean, it's still meibomian gland dysfunction, but it's trying to target this abnormal buildup on this lid margin. Like, we don't have anything like that. That's incredible. Great
Yeah.
idea.
I know. I love it. I love the brain power, but behind these. And I like that they're not just, as I said earlier, like Me Too products, right? Like this, just kind of like another version. They really are carving out completely new mechanisms of actions, how they can help impact the ocular surface, We also have RASP inhibitors, right? That potentially early in 2026 we might see, which is new. We don't really have a RASP inhibitor within the eye care space. So that is exciting. When we think about dry eye, we think about inflammation, right? Being at every facet of that at the core. And so being able to possibly have something that's a little bit more upstream is really exciting. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Hilarious. So, hilariously, we're recording this on the 15th and their PDUFA date is tomorrow. So we would find out tomorrow about these, what's up with the RAS inhibitor. So I love that you're talking about this, but yeah, it's a good call out. We don't have anything like that happening right now too. So great to have all of this innovation in the dry eye space. Happy to be able to offer more and better options for patients. That is really what we need.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anything else on 2025? Otherwise, I'm going to ask you what your life lens was for the whole entire year.
Oh god. Oh man. That is a big question. Probably my life lens is every year I buy at minimum 2 planners. Okay? 2 paper planners because I'm very specific about the type of planner that I think is going to work for me. But this year, I think I found the best one thus far. It is the second planner that I bought because I bought this first one. I thought, oh, started using a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, that's good." This other one is more of a goal oriented planner. Okay. So there is
Mm.
something really powerful, in my opinion, of putting pen to paper and writing out what your goals are. So, this planner has yearly goals. Like what do I want for this year? This is 2026. Okay. It's not actually my life lens for 2025. I'm sort of skewing a little bit, but I hope you're cool with that. But it's my what do I want in my life? What do I want in 2026? And then it breaks it down further. Like January. What's the January goals? What is it going to be? Is it fitness? Is it like career? Is it family? Is it what are the goals? And then it breaks it down with the actionable steps. Okay. So like, whatever your goals are, they can seem lofty sometimes, like, oh, I just want to be more fit or whatever the goal is. But like, okay, but like, great. What are the steps that you're going to take to get there? And having these, you know, this has been very helpful for me through the years, is to really kind of map that out and see what it is that I want. And I think it also helps you figure out like what are your actual priorities in life. And then it helps you make your decisions down the road. Like, I really don't want to travel this much be away from my family for these days. So these are my rules that I made, and these are things I don't want to compromise on. So just as like a setting boundaries, setting clear goals for yourself, and that's my that's my life lens. Yeah.
Say one of the best decisions that I started doing a number of years ago, very, very similar to that, is I sit down and I have like a strategic planning meeting for me. Like I do that in my business, of course, like, we'll sit down and we'll talk about that. And there was a number of years ago that I was like, why am I not doing this in my personal life? So I make a list and I like go through and I like basically grade like what's my professional life, what's my social life, what's my community, what's my spiritual life, my fitness, my health, like what's the grade for the last year and what are areas that I'm doing really well, what areas need a little bit of a tune up. And then you're exactly right, putting pen to the paper, like walking through how you get there and of course like manifesting, right? Like there's all those different facets of that. But I think you have to get really clear. And as professionals, we juggle so many things. We take care of our patients, we take care of our families, we're busy, but you have to be able to not get distracted. Sometimes life is so short and you got to make the most of it. And so, yeah, so I've had these like I call them my strategic planning meetings where I sit down and do, but I feel like I might need like this planner to kind of officially
Listen,
walk
it's
through
right
that.
here. I'll show it to you. Okay, it's this one. I'll send you the link for it. You know what? I don't even know what the name of it is actually. Okay, it's all on the front. It says magnet planner. I don't really know, but anyway, it's great. I'll send it to you. But it is really helpful. And there's this quote that's like, if you don't plan your life, someone will plan it for you, and that's really true. Like other people will direct where you go and what you do with your time and your life, and so it's yeah, I think you can get really busy and you can forget and just like be in the motion constantly, go, 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 go. But like you need to just really stop and think, what is it that I want from this life? And yeah, writing all that down I think is very powerful and helpful for me. So yeah, I'm glad you do a strategic. I'm going to call that for a strategic planning meeting. I'm going to steal that from you. That's a great idea. I love it.
I love it. That's really good. I feel like when I look back at my life lens, I feel like I'm torn between two things. One is my Aura ring. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh,
I've had it for
really?
years. I just got my like second one. I think I love data, right? When we talk about dry eye, so much of like diagnostics and data. And this little Aura ring, it's like if you don't know, it's like a
I do.
wearable
Yeah.
fitness tracker, sleep, stress, everything. And then I love the data part of it. That's the analyst geek in me, but
Side note, I actually, I didn't know you had one. I texted Mila Yusifova about this because she has one. And I was like, do you like yours? But I don't actually want all that data. I don't want to know. I got a Whoop also one time, and that is
Mhm.
way too much data for me. I was like, I can't deal with this. So I'm actually good with just an Apple Watch is
That's
really
okay.
all I need. I sleep great, so I don't really have a sleep issue. So I'm like, I feel like the tracking's useful for that, but it's not for me. I'm so glad you like it though. It does look really cool, but
That's fair. I also feel like ChatGPT. I think back to one of our guests. I think it was
yes,
Keely Brown.
Keely. It was
That was
Keely.
her life lens, and she really propelled me into start. Like I just gotta like dip my toe into this a little bit more. And I know that ChatGPT is like like the boomer of AI, right? Like there's just so many different facets. It's not, but boy, is it helpful, and I use it a lot in so many different ways in my practice. But like a big thing is even just for communication. Like I have a couple staff members, like one gets really upset whenever like they have a, kind of a disgruntled patient interaction or something, and I'll have them like type their feelings to chat GPT. Or I have another staff member that like I have them draft an email to make sure it doesn't come across like too like kind of crass, when it goes out. So there's just all these different like facets of that. And so I feel like that's been my like AI thing of my gateway drug, I guess, for 20. And I know with AI, right, we're all like, we need
Oh
to do
my
it
gosh.
responsibly, and it's easy to like rabbit hole, right? The robots taking over, but
The other thing that I discovered that is very useful is automations. Do you know the Shortcuts app on your iPhone? Do you know about this?
oh, tell me more.
So there's a Shortcuts app on your iPhone that you can program it to do things for you. And I'm just going to give you a couple of what I use it for. So it's like if you can program it. So like when I arrive to my gym parking lot, it will detect that and automatically pull up my gym app for my code so I can like scan in my code from my phone to get in the building. Then if I go to like Whole Foods, when I pull in the Whole Foods parking lot, automatically sends a text to my husband. Do you need anything from Whole Foods? It's
That
like
is
things that I can
amazing.
and there's all kinds of things with it. I'm not gonna like bore the listeners with this, but I went down a very deep rabbit hole on how to automate parts of my life.
Okay, after we wrap, I'm gonna have to get this extensive list
I'll
and
tell you.
probably copy it so I can make my life more efficient.
It's all about efficiency, right? Can I automate things in my life that I don't really need to? Yeah. Anyway, this probably could be a whole nother podcast, but Jocelyn, I have to tell you, I'm so happy to be a co-host with you. I love you. Thank you for doing this podcast. I'm glad we're doing it together. You're a wonderful friend. I've enjoyed spending this time with you. So thank you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. I absolutely adore you. It's such an honor. You do so much for eye care and optometry, and it's a real pleasure to be your co-host. So, and thank you to all of our listeners for listening to us throughout this year and previous years, and hopefully you stick with us for years to come. We are so thankful for you. I love meeting our listeners in real life. So if you're a listener and you're ever around us, please come say hi, because we would love to just probably hug you and just take a selfie with you, and just say thank you in person for listening.
Yeah. So thanks to everyone. Happy 2025 or happy early 2026. Here we come.